Hey everybody, I'm at the dentist. I was going to live stream from my appointment, but I thought it might be hard to understand with that much stuff in my mouth and getting my teeth scraped and all that stuff. So I made this video instead. Hopefully it'll suffice. So yesterday we did St. Lucy's Reading Journal Part 1. Today we're going to do St. Lucy's Reading Journal Part 2. I have Part 2 of the Reading Journal in Schoology for you. Make sure you put it somewhere safe. Did you make those folders? I hope you made those folders. It helps keep you organized. I don't want you losing your good work. I want to be able to trade it for points. Also, I want to let you know that today there is not going to be a place for you to submit your journal work today, but there will be in the future. That's why I need you to take care of it. Although, when you're done with the video and today's work, there is a quick check-in on Schoology, which actually I'll be using that for attendance purposes, so make sure you get it done. But today we are going to take a look at Part 2 of the journal, and this is, like I talked about yesterday, I'm going to meet you halfway. I'm going to meet you halfway on this one. I want you to infer, I want you to connect, and I came up with some ideas and some prompts and some ways to get you guys thinking a particular way so you can make some inferences and connections with Stage 1 of St. Lucy's Home for Girls Raised by Wolves. Anytime during this video where you need a little extra time to get some writing in, feel free to pause it. Or, if need be, rewind it. Whatever it is you need to make sure that you're making some solid inferences and connections with the text. So, I considered doing another real quick read through, but I think at this point it would be going a little bit overboard. If you need a couple minutes to refamiliarize yourself with the story, I know you got copies of the story. It's in Schoology if you lost yours. But if you need to take a minute to reread the story now or later on while you're filling out the journal, pause this video. So let's get into Part 2 of the Reading Journal. So for the first entry for Part 2, I grabbed a quote for you. The quote is, "We were accompanied by 4 burly woodsmen." Now these woodsmen are part of a party that are escorting the girls from the woods to St. Lucy's. First, let's connect. Let's take a look at this quote and think about how we could connect with it. We were accompanied by 4 burly woodsmen. Think back to fairy tales. Think back to Little Red Riding Hood. Think back to Snow White. Woodsmen, big burly guys carrying axes. I don't know. How did this get to be an axe? I don't know. Again, our prop department. I mean, this is what they came up with for folders. I don't have an axe in the classroom. But think about the woodsmen in stories like Little Red Riding Hood and Snow White. What was their role? What did they do in those stories? Think about it. Not sure? Gotta look it up. Pause the video. Do that. But connect with that detail by explaining to me, what do woodsmen usually do in fairy tales? Now let's infer, let's make an inference with the exact same quote. So if these girls are being escorted from the woods to St. Lucy's by a bunch of big guys with axes, I'm using this for an axe now. Applications for the prop department are currently being accepted. What role do you think that the woodsmen were playing in this story? I mean, what was their job? I mean, they certainly weren't hired to chop down trees. I mean, why are they part of this group of people escorting the girls to St. Lucy's? Maybe that's a better way to ask that question. Why did these 4 woodsmen accompany the girls from their transition from the woods to St. Lucy's. If you got to pause the video to jot down your answer, great plan, great plan. Let's look at the second quote that I grabbed. Okay, the second quote that I grabbed was Bartholomew helped him to herd the boys. Okay, first of all, who's Bartholomew? Well, Bartholomew is the wolfhound that is also part of the group that is escorting the girls from the woods to St. Lucy's. Did you ever see a wolfhound? They're cool, man. Look at these big dogs, big dogs. Look at this one. I think the camera angle has something to do with that one looking like a furry dinosaur, but cool dogs. But here's what I think is interesting about that section of text. The deacon doesn't get a name. The social worker doesn't get a name. The woodsmen, they don't get names. The wolfhound is named Bartholomew. Who is the wolfhound escorting? So why does the dog get a name when all the people don't get names? I think you know. I think you know. And if you got to pause the video for a moment to jot down your answer, good plan. All right, time for our third quote. The third quote that I grabbed was, our parents wanted something better for us. They wanted us to get braces, use towels, be fully bilingual. The nuns, they said, would make us naturalized citizens of human society. So for this one, I want you to put yourself in the head of the parents of these wolf girls. Look what they wanted for their kids. How might the parents view their own lives? Press pause if you need to. Now, before I get to the connection question for this quote, I would like to tell you, this really reminded me of my own family. You see, Bolesław Szerzynski, yep, that's a real name, Bolesław Szerzynski. He came over from Poland to these United States in 19 and then he had a son named Henry Szerzynski. That was my grandfather, and my grandfather, he did not have an easy go of things. He worked as a baker. Well, then that was interrupted by World War II, where he joined up to be a paratrooper, which means he jumped out of perfectly good airplanes to fight Nazis. That's an interesting career choice, and one I applaud. But after the war, he came back, and he was a baker. He was a security guard at a big steel plant in Lackawanna, which is just south of Buffalo, and he always had to work real hard, and eventually he had his wife, he had his son, my dad, and they had a small house in South Buffalo, and he really instilled the value of education with my dad. He wanted my dad to have an easier time of things, so he really pushed education with my dad. So my dad went to University of Buffalo to become a pharmacist, and that's what he did. That's what he did for his whole career, and he loved it to a nerdy extent. I swear, there was a magazine he had for pharmacists, and they had like this crossword puzzle with all these names of prescription drugs. It was nerdy. It was super nerdy. It's probably where I get some of my nerdiness from. So I think you can see that my grandfather wanted something better for my dad. And then in turn, my dad also really pushed the importance of education. And, well, that obviously stuck. And that brings us here today. So thanks, Great-Grandpa Bolesław. But let's get to that connection question. And you can think about the things that I just talked about. It might help you out. So, the question is, how is this quote similar to the reasons why immigrants come to the United States? And I have a pretty good feeling that the reasons that they came here were similar to the reasons that the werewolf parents wanted their kids to go to St. Lucy's. Okay? Think about it. Hey, you know what? If you need to pause, if you need to pause the video, that's an okay idea. And that's going to be it for part 2 of the reading journal. And look at you. You inferred. You connected. Congratulations. Great job. Super you. Don't forget to do the check-in for today too, because remember, I'm at the dentist and I got to take attendance somehow, so the check-in will help with that aspect of things. Don't forget it. Don't forget that part. And don't forget to keep the reading journal that you filled in somewhere safe, because eventually we'll trade it for points. Yeah, I think that's about it for today. I guess I'll see you tomorrow, and we'll do even more work with Stage 1 of St. Lucy's Home for Girls Raised by Wolves.